guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here and you just found this searching or something, hi, welcome. This is actually my vlog channel. My main channel is more of like photography videos and stuff. But yeah, this video is gonna be different than just like regular vlogs. I just wanted to do this sit down video because I was thinking about it the other day and I was like, wow, I really am not anxious anymore, like hardly ever. And it's because of this one thing I've been doing. And it's weird because I wasn't seeking out something to get rid of my anxious feeling. This just ended up happening as a side effect of this thing that I will talk about later in this video. Stay till then if you want to know, because it really is kind of like, I don't think you're going to be expecting it. This video is probably going to be kind of long, so grab a snack. I have some coffee. Just one last thing to preface it. This is just my story. This is not an end-all, be-all guide of how to get rid of anxiety. This is just what happened to work for me, and you know, hopefully it helps someone. But really the best thing to do is, if you are looking up videos like this or you are feeling anxious, talk to someone about it. Talk to a mental health professional or just a friend. I mean, definitely talk to someone about it because that's like the #1 thing. But I know it can be hard to tell people. Like, trust me, I know for months I didn't want to tell anyone. I just didn't tell anyone, but I was actually feeling horrible. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's go back, let's rewind so you get the full story here. I really didn't feel what I would consider anxiety until I was probably 20 or 21. It really was when I started doing YouTube as a full-time thing and just doing that, not going to school, just that, because it was a lot more emotional stress on feeling like this is what I'm doing, so it needs to do well. Like back then, it was more of a quarter life crisis. Like I was kind of burned out on YouTube and I had no idea what to do. And this was a summer that Monica ended up moving back to Seattle, so I felt just like all alone in LA. I was living alone for a few months and I was just so anxious because I didn't really know what to do. And I was kind of afraid, honestly, that I was gonna make the wrong choice, and I would wake up every morning so anxious, my heart beating so fast, just feeling like kind of dread, you know? And the only thing that would really help that was I would work out first thing in the morning. I think working out can help you cope with anxiety, but it's not going to get rid of it, really. But I think it's actually a really good thing to do. So this is when I was like really burned out. I think it was like even a little before Monica was moving, because I was like, dang, she really knows what she wants to do and I have no idea. Because part of me did also want to move back to Seattle, but a big part of me didn't want to. And spoiler alert, I still live in LA and like I'm glad I made that choice. It's just different when you don't have like your family around. And also at this time, YouTube can be a very isolating job. I mean, I feel like right now I would say I have a lot of friends and like I don't feel isolated, but back then I had friends, but I felt kind of disconnected from them. I mean, honestly, for all the circumstances, it made sense that I was anxious. I think maybe there's a parallel universe where I would not be anxious about any of that had all those things happened. But if you're burned out, you don't like what you're doing, you don't feel like you're super connected to people, and you're working for yourself, so you don't really have coworkers, it's all on you, you don't have someone telling you what to do, then it's pretty easy to feel anxious. Like, put most people in that scenario and they're gonna get some anxiety. I mean, I don't know, some people thrive in that, but I did not. Even when I look back at my vlog footage then, I look out of shape. I don't think before I started working out like a lot more, look out of shape. I look like my face looks kind of puffy because I was like crying sometimes. It made me sick because my tear ducts and like sinuses were working so much more. I would get sinus infections all the time. Like every 2 weeks I just had a runny nose and it was just awful. So that was a weird thing where I was like, this is not how I can be living. Like, I cannot live like this. Like, it's making me physically sick now. Another thing back then, I would like force myself to go do things, to be around people, like hang out with my friends, but I still would feel like anxious, and I'd be hanging out with like good friends and I still just didn't feel like myself. Like, I had this like anxiety where I couldn't be in the moment. But I would still try to, and that would make me feel better to go be around people. But I remember this one time where it was the 4th of July. I was with a group of people and I was in the car And I just still felt so anxious. I remember like a tear running out of my eye, but I put sunglasses on because I didn't want anyone to see. It just felt like the wrong time to be feeling anxious, but I think if you don't address it, it's just going to happen like at the wrong times. So a couple years ago, that was honestly kind of like a quarter life crisis and just a lot of problems that, or I don't know if I'd say problems, but things that I felt anxious about that ended up being solved over time or that I worked on to solve, that kind of thing. And now I'm just not really anxious about it. Now, day to day, I found myself, or I guess a few months ago, I found myself weirdly anxious because I just felt like I couldn't focus. Like, I felt like I had started so many different things and didn't know where to focus. I would have days where I would work on stuff and feel like, what did I even get done? I don't know. I felt like I didn't make as much progress as I wanted to, and like I was dreading a lot of things. Like, I just always had stuff that I was putting off and didn't want to do and dreading doing, and that was always like a little bit more, I don't know if I would say it made me feel anxious really. It just made me feel like dread, because I didn't want to do those things. But I was busy with other stuff, so I felt like, oh, I'm busy, like I'll just do it eventually, when I was like, dang, I'm really not getting to this stuff ever. Really, I was feeling anxiety about being productive because with YouTube, I'm all in with this. You know, this is my main job. So I do put more pressure on it to do well. And of course, I'm gonna get more worried if it's not doing well or if I'm not as productive as I think I could be. So I would just get worried about my productivity, and that would stress me out. The mental, like, worrying about if I was being productive enough was counterproductive in itself. So now we are on to what I actually started doing that, like I said, I didn't really like think it was gonna make me less anxious or anything. I was just worried about my productivity. And I know it sounds like, oh, not really anxiety because I was just worried about productivity, but I was still having those symptoms of like waking up, dreading things, like not really enjoying it. When it was things that from the outside looking in, you would think I was enjoying, but I wasn't really. And I was anxious about it and worried about it when I kind of it didn't have to be that way, but it was. Okay, so this is the thing I did about it. The first thing was, I've made a video about this on my main channel, but anytime I really am procrastinating something or don't want to do it, I tell myself I'll just do it for 5 minutes. And I've been doing this for months now. I do it every single day. There's something I don't want to do and I just do it for 5 minutes, and you guys, you would be amazed at what you can knock out in 5 minutes. It's crazy. Like, even things you're not exactly dreading, but that you are putting off and procrastinating, and you just do it for 5 minutes, like, you really will get so much farther by just doing that. I was dealing with things that I had been putting off for a long time or really didn't want to do, and I just didn't even give myself the time to dread it anymore. I just started doing it before I could even think about it as much and be like, oh, I really don't want to do that. I would just start doing it, and once I started doing it, a lot of these things, I would kind of get into a flow and be like, you know, it's really not that bad, or I kind of actually enjoy it. Some of the things were just more intimidating and felt daunting, and I just didn't want to do it, but once I did it, it was just a weight off my shoulders. I would wake up in the morning and I didn't feel behind on things anymore. I felt like, oh, I'm pretty good. I'm actually getting more done. I felt good that I finally was checking these things off my to-do list that had been on it for a really long time. One of those things was, for years now, I've had an accountant that has just been, it's a whole company, it's not just the one accountant. So it was the owner of this company, and they specialize in YouTube accounting, whatever. And I'd been with them since like 2014 probably, but to keep it short, like they just were sketchy. Like they had done sketchy things. They started increasing their prices without telling me, and it got to a point where it was like an insane amount, thousands of dollars a year more than I needed to be paying. But everything about taxes kind of freaked me out, and I didn't want to think about it. And like at the end of the day, if I still paid the few thousand more, it was fine. Like I could still afford it. Not even a few thousand more. Honestly, it was like 6,000 more a year probably that I was paying. Crazy. For a long time, I was like, I should find a new tax person, but that, I don't know, it was a daunting process because I was like, how am I going to switch all my stuff over? How am I going to trust this person? All these things where I was like, I'll do it later, I'll do it eventually. In my spare 5 minutes, in just these times where you're waiting for something in the microwave to heat up, I would actually start researching like who could be my next potential tax person, accountant, whatever, bookkeeping. I finally found one that I liked, and Normally I probably would have been like, yeah, whatever, I'll find some time to like set up a call, but I was like, it takes like 30 seconds to email them and set up a call. So I finally just did that. It was just one of those things that I was putting off for so long, and now I'm saving so much money. I trust this person more. I could have done it a long time ago, actually. I could have switched a long time ago. But yeah, I'm just glad I did now. A lot of stuff like that I don't know, it was just driving me crazy. There were so many things. It felt like so many moving parts. Overall, just mounting all of it together made me feel anxious and dread the day because I was like, oh, I have to do these things still. Once I just started taking the 5 minutes to just do them, I started to wake up in the morning and feel like, yeah, what can I knock out now? Like, what can I do today? Like, I've already done all these other things and addressed them. Like, I felt so much better, like a weight lifted off my shoulders. It really was for me as simple as just telling myself for 5 minutes that I was gonna just address these things that I really didn't want to address. And the tax example is just one of many. I know I'm using YouTube mostly as the example, but you can apply this to like every part of your life. You can apply it to working out. You can apply it to cleaning your room. You can apply it to your relationships even. Let's say you're putting off talking to someone about something. Let's say I have to tell someone some news, like I have to tell someone something disappointing and I don't want to do it. Maybe before I'd put it off. Now I'd be like, it's only 5 minutes, like it's only really 5 minutes of me like addressing it. I should just do it now. I'll just do it now. Or maybe you're putting off asking someone for something, asking someone for help. It really is things that you put off and you don't even realize that you're putting it off for a long time when it wouldn't take you that long to just do it. In the past few months, I've gotten so much more done. I have reached out to more people. I feel like I've met more people and just, I don't wait on things. Like I just do it and I feel so much better about it. I don't overthink it. I think really that's it. I just don't overthink it anymore. And so there was one other thing I did that I feel like has had a huge effect on my productivity and my kind of like anxiety. And that is actually a method people use to study. It's called the Pomodoro method. It's named after a tomato. Basically, a long time ago, there were these timers that were 25 minutes long that looked like tomatoes. I don't know, it's so random. So this technique, a lot of people use it for studying, and it's when you study for 25 minutes, then you take a 5-minute break, study for 25 minutes again, 5-minute break, 25 again, 5, 25, and then you take like a 20-minute break. And during those 25 minutes, you cannot look at your phone, you can't have any distractions, nothing. You can't text that person back. Like, this is not the time. You have your designated 5 minutes for that. And I started doing this for everything. Mostly I started doing this for editing, but also for things like cleaning my room even. Really for everything that I could apply it to, I would start doing this. It made me feel less anxious because I wasn't always looking at my phone. Before, I felt like my phone was just always annoying me. This is like what would happen. I would start editing for 10 minutes. I would get a text. I would reply to it. Then I'd see an article and I'd be like, oh, what is this? Then I'd go on Instagram. Then I'd go on Twitter. And now it's like 10 minutes later and I'm like, God, I wasted all this time. Like, I would just repeat doing that a bunch of times in the day. We all know that feeling when you're doing something and you kind of just get lost in it and enjoy it. Maybe it's a sport, you know, you have that state of flow. Like you just don't mind doing it anymore. Like you really enjoy it and want to keep doing it. And if you're constantly distracted by your phone, you're never letting yourself get to that place. I enjoy editing more because I quickly get past the like 4 minutes of resistance of me being like, I don't want to do it. And I get into that state of flow where I'm creative and enjoying it. And because I always, like, when I go to edit, have like, I don't feel like getting my hard drive out. I know it really sounds so simple, but actually physically setting the timer is what keeps me doing these things. So I know it's like a simple method, but in short, I've become so much more productive. So again, I feel way better because again, it's like these things that I felt like were taking me so long or that I was dreading. Now I just knock them out quickly and I feel like awesome. Like, what's the next thing? I feel good about it rather than being like, okay, like what's the next thing now? I just feel so much better about it. Hopefully this all has made sense, but the takeaway is the 5-minute timer for things I really don't want to do, and then the 25-minute timer for things I really need to focus on and keep me off my phone or whatever, has changed my life more than I really expected at all. More than just the productivity, but it's changed my overall mood. It's changed like how I feel about what I get done. I had this all written down because I didn't want it to go all over the place, but it really has gone all over the place anyway. So basically those are like the two concrete things I did, and it just has made me feel so much better. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below if you have any questions or anything like that. And yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye!